Man, oh man, what a day, what a move this afternoon. Well, welcome back, guys. Hope you made some money on either one of those directions that we saw today. We have a lot to talk about tonight, right? Boy, what a wild day. Another great day, though, comes to an end. Hope you guys made some money. It's Thursday night. We're getting ready for Friday's Opex trading session. And after the wild movement we saw today, boy, do we have some great trades we're tracking to finish up the week on Friday. As always, I'm going to cover all my favorite trade ideas, my favorite trades for tomorrow in tonight's video to make sure you get a game plan to make some money on Friday. We have a lot to cover in a very important video. Before we jump in and get our hands dirty on these charts tonight, make sure you subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss tomorrow night's video upload. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video tonight, hit that like button for me. Give me a holler in the comment section. I appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting here tonight. I apologize for keeping you waiting. A bit of a late upload, but boy, busy day. Let's not waste any more time. Where are all the best trades setting up here for tomorrow? Boy, what a difference a couple hours makes, right? We found those beautiful bear traps, some short squeezes this morning, finished up a beautiful morning in the morning trading this morning and then of course you come back from lunch break and everything rolls over on us here. Boy, that really, I'll tell you, this really changes the game, and we'll definitely talk about in this in a lot more detail here tonight. We're definitely bearish right now on the S&P and Nasdaq. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I'd like to short some bounces. I think right now everybody's looking to short some bounces. The challenge we have right now, though, is, and you can probably notice, we're sitting right on some big support levels. So we have to be careful on this. There definitely will likely be some opportunities here to short some bounces, right? To short those bounces. But I'll tell you, timing the entries are going to be the real key to making money tomorrow. And so we're going to talk a lot about how to time the perfect bounce, time the perfect entry on that pullback. We have a lot to cover on the Nasdaq and the S&P. We'll make sure you guys have a game plan to make some money on those. Oil right now also leaning towards the bear side right now. Basically a bear market, a trading range, trying to rotate going lower. I would love to get some reversals up off the high here on oil, and I'm also watching for some breakouts going lower as well. Oil is a lot more two-sided than the S&P and Nasdaq, so we got some long side trades and some short side trades on the oil setting up here for tomorrow. But boy, lot to cover on the S&P and Nasdaq. Before we jump in though and talk about my favorite trade for tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow is options expiration. Now, generally speaking, Fridays are usually lower volume overall. And when you throw in the fact that we've got options expiring on Saturday ultimately, right, end of the day on Friday, these Opex Fridays do tend to be a little bit more jumpy, right? So you oftentimes do see that combination of options expiring along with lower volume, and there's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in there. So don't be surprised tomorrow if things are a little bit more bouncy, a little bit jumpier than they normally are. I never shy away from trading Opex. I would rather not trade quad witching, that is next month, but I don't shy away from trading Opex. It's just, again, just be aware though, the volume will likely be a little bit lower. It'll be a little bit jumpier, and that will give us even more reasons to really make sure we plan our trades properly here for tomorrow. Now, boy, after seeing Bullard, the Fed's Bullard is what's rumored to have spooked this market this afternoon. We've got more Fed speakers tomorrow. We got Barkin tomorrow at 8:30. We got Bowman at 8:45. So I would imagine those are potentially some big firecrackers that could go off tomorrow as well, right? Tomorrow's a Friday too. Remember, Fridays love to run. So again, expect that lower volume. My game plan on a Friday is get into trades early on a Friday, but I like to leave runners because runners markets love to kind of flutter and float around on Fridays, and you can sometimes grab some really big targets. So in early, but try to leave that runner into the afternoon and see how far some of the trades will go for you. Now back to our charts here tonight, and of course I'm going to go over the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the crude tonight. If you like making money, I would definitely make sure you watch all the way through to the end of this video, because every trade I talk about can be applied to your favorite market. As I always tell you guys, what we talk about tonight on the S&P can be applied to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq can be applied to the S&P. I build on these together. What we talk about the oil can be applied to the ES, right? So, don't just click off after your favorite chart. If you want to learn all my favorite trade ideas that can apply to your favorite market, we'll cover them throughout the entire video here tonight. S&P first, Nasdaq second, and we'll wrap tonight here on the crude oil futures. What's the most important thing right now on the Emini S&P? First of all, don't forget, this is a tick chart. All these charts are tick charts listed in the upper left-hand corner. This is the 21 EMA, and as always, I do include slower time frames, higher time frame charts. I have some brand new 60-minute time frame charts linked up in the description of the YouTube video. Now that we got this rolling over this afternoon, the 60-minute time frames look very, very different now. And if you want to see more of the bigger picture context, I would definitely recommend you grab those links in the description. Those 60-minute time frames will be a very good complement to this video tonight. Now, again, what's the most important factor right now on the S&P? I think the most important factor right now is that we have a very strong move down. Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we're expecting a pullback and a retest of that level, right? You can see right here, right? Strong move, retest of that level. Now, given we did get some beautiful crown reversals, some first tests here, right, this morning. Like I said, what a difference a couple hours made, right? We finish up this morning. Everyone's making money in the trading this morning. It was a fantastic morning for folks. And then we come back after lunch and it's just rolling over. So this rollover really changes the game, right? It really does. So strong move down says we'd like to short some bounces. But the problem, of course, right, the next big issue here is look where we are, right? Look where we are. We're sitting right at that low. So we have to be careful here. What is my favorite trade for tomorrow? My favorite trade for tomorrow is I'd like to see a pullback up around the belly of this range. Oftentimes the range will happen is they'll break out, they'll come back, and they'll kind of kiss them and then keep going. So that's my favorite kind of general location of the entry. But we have a lot to talk about tonight as far as how to actually structure that entry, because it may not be easy for obvious reasons, because we're right at that low right now. That's one of my favorite trades. The other one, of course, would be the easier one here. If we do keep rolling lower, this becomes one big kind of pop and grind channel, and we start using the underbelly of these ranges, right, for our shorts from there. That'll be a whole hell of a lot easier for these bears, but we're definitely not there just yet. So as we go deeper into the video, I'm going to talk about the move going lower. We definitely have some objectives waiting below us on both the S&P and the Nasdaq. Again, this will be where those 60-minute time frames in the description will give you a little bit more of a bird's eye view of where we are here. But let's talk about pullbacks right now, right? I want to talk about pullbacks. What's the big challenge? The big challenge is that a pullback, we're kind of selling low. You know what I mean? We're selling relatively close to a big bottom here right now. And so whenever I think about selling low, and we talk about this in the free trading course, what is the one entry setup that allows us to sell as high as possible? It's a trap, right? It's a trap. So we're looking for basically bull traps, right? We can't expect there to be a lot of sellers who are trying to sell, again, relatively speaking, this low. So if all we get is that pullback, right, we need to look for bull traps to give us some sort of fuel, right, to give us that edge we need to make money. So think about it this way. As we go higher here, you have a lot of reasons to want to short this, right? Nice channel there. Again, the underbelly of that range. I like this area, but again, I don't like the area right into that low here. So what you want to do is you want to try to trap in some of these buyers and basically use their stops as fuel for that run going lower. So as we pop up, you want to start thinking about getting the buyers coming in and trying to buy this thing and run back up and take that high. Once they they come in and try, then we can start looking for, again, we talk about these in the free trading course. It's a bull trap, right? It's a bull trap. You could also look at this as like a mini crown reversal pattern, right? So as we pop up, we've got the buyers coming in. They're trying to run this thing back higher, trying once, they're trying twice. The bare minimum, right? The bare minimum here will be off the top of that channel. My favorite way to do it would be get a bigger pullback, maybe run up into this trend line over here, right? And then again, 1, 2, remember, I have to try to sell as high as I can right here because, again, I'm running into that low, right? This is where that bull trap or a trap setup, like we talk about in our free trading course, is going to come in handy, right? And the objective is to go back to retest that low. Another variation of this that you want to think about, which in all reality would probably be the best scenario for tomorrow, is let's say we do end up all the way back to these highs. Now think about these two potential scenarios. So this really could be the best scenario for the bears for tomorrow. Again, still need to get that bull trap, right? Buyers once, buyers twice. Still want that bull trap, but then as we end up rolling down, now we go out and we find that new channel now, and we go looking for that new channel off that low and then short that first test off that channel high, right? That's another variation I'm watching here. Again, you'll notice though, you really want to focus on traps, right? Because again, we're trying to short this thing in a relatively uncomfortable spot in this scenario. Want to keep an eye on that. Another one of my favorites would be, let's say we do pull back. Let's say buyers come in and they hold the pullback and they retest the high. Now that means we can be a lot more aggressive, right? So now as they retest the high now, think about now the rookies coming in. They're going to try a couple times to buy right into that big top, right? They're not paying attention. We now know where their stops are, and we can use their stops right there, right, for basically a 2-try failure pattern. Won't need as much of a trap in that situation because we've already retested the high. I can use their stops as fuel for that run going lower. And then remember, don't forget, just as we talk about in the free trading course, right? You want to grab that channel and then go looking for the entries right off the top of that channel, right? So we pop up, we retest the high, we trap in the buyers, and we use what's called a failure pattern, right, to sell into stops. And then as the market rolls over, we're going, okay, maybe it's a bull trap, it's a buyer failure, it's a pullback setup. We're trying to go back to retest the low, right? That is, of course, all the entry patterns we talk about in the free trading course, which reminds me, I've talked a lot about the free classes up to this point of the video. I know that a lot of you guys made money off that crown reversal, off that first test pullback. We talked about in last night's video. But listen, if you're here for the first time right now, if you haven't taken the free trading course yet and learned all the entry tactics I'm talking about right now, I'll put a link up there for you in the upper right hand corner. Grab that link, take the free course, because I'll tell you the strategy that you'll learn in that free video series will teach you a stupidly simple trick to know almost immediately every day where the best winning trades will be, and I'll make it easy for you to start making money on your own account. I'll teach you 4 of my favorite entry patterns to use that strategy to start making money on your own. If you're tired of missing the best trades, if you're not getting the results you want right now, grab that link, learn that strategy, and you'll learn a lot more about, again, pops up and traps, right? Traps are my favorite entry pattern, right? Because it gives the chance to, in this case, sell nice and high. So as we go higher, think about trapping in those buyers for that retest of that low. Now, you're probably wondering right now, at what point could I be a buyer on this? It's very difficult to find a good long trade right now. One, because of the strength of that move. It's very difficult right now to want to pick a bottom on this because, again, you're going to run right into that range. So how could I? Well, see, here's the problem, right? Most of the time, if we see a strong jump up and the buyers come in and they hold the pullback and they blast, right? That is typically a reversal. right? Like we saw today, right? We pop up, they jump off that moving average. It was a dead giveaway. Right? We had the reversal on a silver platter here today. Again, one of the Fed speakers kind of ate our lunch this afternoon on that. But hey, that's the way the markets move sometimes. So hey. Now, if we get that strong move higher, that's usually a reversal, but really? I can't sell up there. This is a horrible place to get short. And you look at the 60-minute time frame in the description, there's a big old channel coming down right now. So I can't buy up there. It's very difficult to want to be a buyer way up there. What is very realistic is if they were to pop up, we don't get, and again, remember this will all apply to the Nasdaq too. If we don't get that trap and back down, if they were to hold this and jump going higher, what is very realistic up here is to see them come in, right, struggle at these highs and get one of those crown reversals for a short off the high, or potentially retest the high, take out that double top, and then 1, 2, right, as we mentioned earlier, for that short back down again. So kind of the same idea we talk about here, I'll apply up here as well. I mean, in all reality, that's probably one of the best trades we could get tomorrow. Big run up, retest the high, get those buyers trapped in, short right into their stops, and then as the market kind of rolls lower, we grab that new channel, you know what I'm saying, and grab that first test off the high of that channel. And I know I'm covering a lot right now, but don't worry, right? Tomorrow morning, the trade room. And again, this will all make a lot more sense as part of that free trading course, right? So very difficult to justify being a buyer up here. Boy, I'll tell you, this move, this roll over this afternoon, we'll see how tomorrow goes. But unless the buyers can really show us like this is a mistake of some sorts, this may be the beginning of the end here for this bull market. On that 60-minute time frame, you'll see this is the first time we've actually held and jumped off the 21 moving average on the 60-minute in weeks. So now it might be a fluke, right? Maybe it's a fluke, but as of right now, though, until something changes, we have a very hard time here being a buyer in this market right now. Now, the next question is as we go lower, right? So we know how to sell this thing as it goes higher, right? We trap in the buyers and short back down again. Kind of the easier part is on the way down to our big objectives is basically selling pullbacks, right? So as we go lower, you're looking to sell pullbacks, and up at the Nasdaq here now, the Nasdaq, of course, it's the same thing, right? It's the same exact thing right now. My favorite trade right on the Nasdaq would be I'd love to get us to pop up, get underneath that trading range, trap in some of the buyers, right, and short this thing right back down again. Again, if it rips up, it's the same basic game plan. Because again, on a bigger picture chart, you'll see this big channel coming down. And again, you'll see in the 60-minute, this is the first time we've seen the sellers actually hold the 21 moving average and really jump away from it in weeks. So it definitely does not look easy for the buyers. We'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a very big day for the buyers, right? Because they really have to show us something. Anyways, as we go lower here, the Nasdaq has quite a bit of space to go before it reaches its objective down there at 12,243. And this will make a lot of sense when you see that 60-minute time frame. The description, we talked about making money going higher. Now how do we do it going lower? It's pretty simple. We just want to make sure we short the bounces, right? So sell pullbacks. Now, a couple things that you want to think about on this is you want to be looking for what's called a pop and grind channel. Notice how it pops down. A lot of times these things will keep on grinding down like this. We don't have that much information right now, but once we get that little grinder, and again, this will also apply to the S&P as well, but once we see that grinding kind of price action, now we can draw off that low, we can bring it up around that high, and then what I always do is basically look for those swings, right? And try to get yourself up around the high of that channel, up around the high of the swing. Now, once we get this situation, now we're going to be able to use the underbelly, right, of this area now. So now those traps aren't going to be as important. They won't hurt, but they're not going to be 100% required. I'll be looking for what's called a failure into pullback combination, which means we get above the moving average. Remember, in this scenario, we're using these prior lows, right, as a key area of support. We're grinding down a bit further. We're popping up off that low, and now we're hoping the buyers will come in and try to run this thing higher. If they do, we can then use their stops as fuel for, as you guys learn in the free trading course, a failure pattern into a pullback combination, possibly a strength move coming off the high of that channel. So that is something that you want to be thinking about here. Now, that's the basic, right? That's the basic. Now let's kick this up a couple notches and let's think about something like this, where now we get that pop and grind, it's grinding down. And again, because we have Opex tomorrow, do not be surprised if we see some very sharp corrections. Because again, Fridays are oftentimes lower volume to begin with. Options expiration oftentimes can be more jumpy. So I wouldn't be surprised if the size of this pullback, right, that pullback is equal to that pullback. Okay, oftentimes symmetry can be useful in those pullbacks. And again, the same technique will apply to the S&P, right? So the size of that pullback right there, I wouldn't be surprised if it pops up all the way to that area too. Okay, now, if that happens, what's the deal now? Now, here's the problem. The problem is we're still very bearish, but now we're back above this low. And now, and you know where I'm going with this, right? Now we have to go back into trap 'em in mode again, right? That's what I would look for in this. Because, again, this move down today, it feels very legit right now, but it was all after a Fed speak. It was all after Fed chatter. And so who knows, right? Maybe it comes in, holds, and rips right back. I don't know, right? I don't know. The world's a crazy place right now, and tomorrow's a Friday. But if we do end up getting that really, really big pullback, again, it'll probably be about that big, right? That previous pullback, right? Think about that big right there. The problem is momentum. So there's two ways to do this, okay? Two ways to do this. One is waiting for that one, that two, at least two tries, and going for that, again, that bull trap back down, okay? That's one way to look at it. Oftentimes, these things will V-top, okay? So watch this closely. If it V-tops and starts coming back down and grinding down, you know how to trade this. Mark that low, mark that high, find that swing, right? These are very distinct. Okay, what will happen is you'll see the same kind of grind. It'll grind right there, right? It'll grind as it goes lower. I know that's a bit more complicated, and I apologize, but that's a very viable option for tomorrow as well. And we're going to short that kind of small channel, right, up and around the high of that large channel. Okay, so don't be surprised if we get something like that. All right, so watch those really sharp pullbacks as we go. The final scenario would be we end up sinking down here into a trading range. Okay, ranges are magnets. This, in all reality, is kind of if we sink down into a trading range, it's almost like the death blow to the buyers, right? Because that range now becomes a magnet. And so whenever we have a trading range with a bear market like this, what do we start doing? We start looking for prior levels of resistance where we look above, we look for resistance levels, and all we do is wait for the price to pop up. The range acts like a magnet, and we simply look for buyers to come in. This is the wrong time to be buying in this situation. Buyers to come in, and we basically use their stops, right, as fuel to go back down into it. Okay, and again, this could easily happen on the S&P, right? The S&P, in all reality, has that big low, right? So the S&P could easily end up, right, continuing here overnight, settling in around their big objective, same basic idea, right? Into a range. Range is a new magnet. Pop it up, trapping the buyers back down into that range. Okay, again, that will probably be the death kiss, right? The death blow for the buyers if they can pin this thing down into a new trading range. All right, so I think by now, we got a pretty good idea now. Again, if it pops up in the short term, think about bull traps, right? Or double tops into two tries back down, okay? Those are the best way to do it there. If it keeps grinding down, try to get, remember, you want to think about this area, and again, similar on the S&P. But that area, we need to get down low enough now, right, to get that channel up here and then be able to use those levels, right, as resistance. Pop it up, trap the buyers in, failure, pullback combo, right? And again, we know where the market wants to go in the Nasdaq and the S&P. You'll see those levels in the 60-minute time frames, right, listed up. And if we do get that really sharp, kind of equidistant, right, or whatever, symmetrical pullback there, if it goes lower, then big blast up. Just be careful, because now you're back inside that low. We're once again back in that bull trap trade environment. Or if it simply liquidates and starts to grind down like that, right, now you know what's up. They want to go back to retest the low. Now it's a matter of somebody finding that new channel and getting that short, because it will be a bull trap, right, in that example. And of course, I know I'm just kind of drawing this stuff right now, but we'll do it together tomorrow, right? We'll put this on real charts, tomorrow morning in our trade room, all right? And again, keep an eye out for that range if we do as well. But I'll tell you, tomorrow is a do or die moment for these buyers. I'm very curious to see what tomorrow brings here. Very curious, because this may be a big turning point in these markets going forward. Wrapping things up tonight, though, on the crude oil futures, oil continues to look a bit confused out there right now. The most important thing, which, by the way, we're on the 423 contract here tonight. We did roll over early this morning, as I mentioned. Around the 18th of the month, oil will roll over every 1 month, and right now we're pretty much a bear market into a range. Now, I will say that the S&P and Nasdaq look pretty convincingly bearish. And again, as I mentioned, because they're holding the pullback off that 60-minute time frame, the oil is still very much, it's mixed. It's definitely mixed right now. The buyers should have taken this rotation higher. They didn't. It isn't. Unfortunately, just because the buyers don't do what they should doesn't necessarily mean it's a bear market. That's the reality of how trading works. Just because the buyers aren't doing something doesn't mean we have to be short. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't have very clear definition of either direction, and we're kind of in that situation right now on the oil. What is the most important factor right now on oil is it's basically a bear market, and we're trying to rotate down right off of this high, right? That's basically the most important factor that we have right now. So sellers are looking for breakouts going lower, right? Bears ultimately have $75 a barrel is basically on their radar, not just because it's a big round number and not because 75 is a psychological level, but just when you look at the 60-minute time frames, the description, you'll see $75 a barrel is a very, very likely objective for the bears if that's a big if they can break down below this trading range. One of my favorite trades for tomorrow, I think right now, would be a reversal off the high, right? That would be a pretty good one, because you've got all of these areas of resistance up top and this range below us. So a couple ways to do this on the oil. A lot of these will look very similar. We're not bearish so much in the long term anymore, so I can't be too aggressive shorting off that high. If we do end up rotating higher now, okay, this basically is a big failed rotation and gives the buyers a lot of clout. Because of that, we'll have to respect those buyers, let them try a couple times, and use ultimately what's called a crown reversal pattern to sell off of that high. Right, we talked about this a moment ago on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Again, if this is more of a bear market right now, I could be a lot more aggressive on that short, but because of the mixed bias right now, I have to respect those buyers a little bit more here. Now, just like on the S&P and the Nasdaq, by the way, this could also apply to the S&P and Nasdaq. If we were to pop up and then get that kind of slam back down and that grinder, we may not get a good signal to short that high. Tomorrow's a Friday, it's Opex Friday. We can draw off of that low, find that new channel, right? And then go in and hit it off the high. And of course, this could be a bull trap like I'm showing you right now. It could be a buyer failure pattern like you guys learn in our free trading course, right? Any of the entry patterns you guys are learning there. That could be a short right off the high. And then just like on the S&P and Nasdaq, right? If we go up, pull back, and retest that high, What do we call that? Mission accomplished. At that point now, what do? We look to rope in some of the buyers, let them try a couple times, use the stops as fuel to short into those stops. And then again, as we roll back over, we know the range below us is a magnet. We know we're trying to go back and take out these big lows now. So now we just go out and simply mark a new trend line, find that new channel, look left and find those prior swings, and you've got your bull traps, your first test, as we call it, right off the high of that channel. So those are the ways I'll be looking to short this thing as it goes. Unlike the S&P and the Nasdaq, oil definitely has potential for a reversal. It seems unlikely right now, but oil is very much news driven right now. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If we were to pop up, if the buyers were to then hold that pullback and jump off that moving average, well, that is a reversal. Right? Now, again, I'm not going to buy that pullback. A lot of times they'll break out and fail and come back into the trading range. But if they can hold that pullback and they can really jump and create some separation off that moving average, okay, now we're bullish. Now we're trending. We mark the trend line off the high. We find that channel off the low. We drill down to our entry time frames. And of course, we look for the entry right off the low of that channel. One thing about breakouts is the first leg and the third leg. Okay, most of the time, most trending markets are going to go in three legs. So when I see a breakout of the range, first leg, right? That's the measuring leg. And then once we pull back, then we know how deep that pullback is. We can use the first leg and find the exit on that third leg. We have a pretty good idea of where the market wants to go, right? 80, 83 bucks or so. But we know that if we get a 1-2 blast like that, we know those breakouts going higher. We know that in most cases, it's that first leg, third leg. Okay, just be careful up here, though. Just be careful up here, right? A lot of resistance up top. My favorite trade would be, right, the short, the 2-try, and the short back down. But if they hold the pullback and keep going, well, then we know we have a bull breakout and a bullish reversal. As we're going lower here, a lot of this will sound pretty similar to the NASDAQ, right? One of the more common types of breakouts is a pop and grind. Okay, going lower. You want to think about where you are in relationship to those prior levels. Makes sense? And then go out, find that channel coming in. And again, the goal is to get somewhere up around that channel without getting too far into that prior range, right? And that's, of course, we can look for that short. And the short could be a bull trap like in this one. Usually they're going to be some sort of buyer failure pattern. Okay, you'll get above that moving average. The buyers will come in. They'll try to buy it going higher, and you'll simply slip your order to sell right below that low for a buyer failure going back down again. This is the same setup we just talked about on the NASDAQ. So definitely keep an eye on that. And the one kind of challenging part would be if we rolled over and then bounced nice and high like this. Again, think about like how big is that pullback? Think about that size right there. That's a good way to kind of measure it. If we bounce off that low, there'll be a new channel coming down like that. So I still like the sell side on it. But what's the trick to sell at this point? Yeah, the trick now is to use one of those bull traps that we talked about earlier in the video, right? Now we're concerned that we're selling into that low. And so now we have to be more careful. Now we let the buyers once, the buyers twice. We're trying to sell as high as we can. And we're trying to, again, incorporate off some channel, you know what I mean? Some symmetrical pullback, some level of resistance up there to combine the entry pattern. We don't just simply, look for entry patterns in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind on that bounce. Very similar to what we talked about on the NASDAQ a few moments ago, right? So watch how far the breakout goes. I'm really not in the mood to be buying off that low right now. You could buy off that low. The only way to do it really at this point, because we're in a bear market like this, is to wait for a retest of the low and then trap in those sellers 1, 2, and buy into their stops. This is a great trade idea if we're a bullish market, but the fact that we're bearish right now into that trading range, and there really isn't a lot of overall bullishness that we can speak of on the 60-minute time frame right now, that buy off the low just isn't the most attractive trade. And again, as I always try to kind of encourage you guys here, we want to get in the habit of being patient for the trades that are the most likely to make us a bunch of easy money. You know what I mean? If we dilute our trading by taking trades that go against momentum and aren't really high percentage, we end up spinning our wheels so much that the big winners get absorbed by all the tiny losses. And so as soon as we can kind of get into the habit of being patient to where our favorite trades are, that's when you start making money and keeping the money. You know, that's kind of the goal, right? Is make it and keep it. Don't make it and give it all back. So those are my favorite trades for the oil for tomorrow. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Boy, it's been a fantastic week. I was a bit disappointed of the rollover this afternoon, but hey, just when you think you got these markets licked, what do? Right? They throw you a bit of a curveball. Tomorrow will be a big day. Tomorrow we'll see what these bulls are made of tomorrow. Now, don't forget, tomorrow morning, every morning in the trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we're prepping up our charts tonight. Tomorrow we'll trade this stuff together. It's a great place to learn and trade along. So come out and join me every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, with all the members in the morning trade room. I'll put all the important stuff, right? All the free course links, all the membership links, all the additional chart time frames, the description of the YouTube video. If you need any help along the way, the easiest way to get help with anything you might need help with is to call or use live chat, send us an email. We're always here. All right, we're always here to help out. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Hope you learned a bunch here this evening. Hope you can use this information and make a killing tomorrow and finish off the week, right, with some more green in your account. Guys, I'm going to wrap things up for now. As always, my name is Joseph. Be well, be nice to each other, and you better be here on Tuesday. Don't forget, Monday is a holiday. Have a great weekend out there, great long weekend, and we'll see you guys back here on Tuesday, if not tomorrow morning, at the opening bell. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a great rest of your day out there. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.